Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be doing Fanhome's Infinity Gauntlet, Package 4, Stages 12 through 16. I have everything all staged here. We'll get started. Looks like we're going to be doing the thumb. As we start Stage 12 here, I'm going to take a moment and say sorry for having these videos come out so late. I do have them all recorded. I was going to stop doing them, but a couple of buddies of mine said that they like hearing it in the background. So, shout out to those guys. But we're going to start on the thumb here. Looks like the top tip of the thumb. Notice some flashing on the screw hole here. So I just take my screwdriver and open it up. Takes that flashing right off. You're going to notice here that the numbers on the pieces are going to match the numbers on the book, which makes it really easy to identify when you get a little confused on what goes where. As I was putting this piece on, I noticed a little extra caught my finger there, so I'm going to grab a knife here and just straighten that out. Just take the little flashing off there. Makes it nice and smooth. So the plastic piece will go inside the metal housing, and it gives a nice little satisfying click as it gets put in there. You can see that it sits down in there. That finishes up stage 12. I'm going to grab my little baggie of leftover screws, add these to the container here, and we'll go on to stage 13. Stage 13 is just a continuation of making the thumb. Once again, I'll show you the piece here that has the number on it, so it's easy to identify what piece they're talking about when you're grabbing from other stages. Sorry I didn't get this in center view of the camera, but the peg actually goes through the washer, and then it's a pretty tight fit. Um, Maybe even a little spot of oil would help that go in a little bit, but I just used a lot of pressure, and it eventually goes in with a lot of squeaking, but it goes in. Once again, sorry for the camera work here, but you can see a gap that is in there. I didn't push the one side in far enough in, but a little bit more pressure, and you can see the gap disappear. Throw a screw in, and then we're done. This next piece will be added on the next stages. On to number 14. Stage 14 is just the continuation of making the thumb a little bit longer. So stage 14 is going to be a quick stage here. These couple pieces that we pulled out here are for future next stage, number 15, 16. So we'll go ahead and finish this book here. Magazine or manual, however you want to call it. Now, they really do go into a lot of good depth on the history of Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos, and everybody around him. Stage 15 is going to have some internal thumb parts to be able to connect those other pieces from stage 14. So these pieces here go together in a certain way. These are actually the base. This is what connects the thumb to the gauntlet hand itself. So we'll just throw a couple screws in here, tighten them up. This is where some of the pieces from the early stages start coming into play here. So you can match the numbers up like I said earlier. Now the cap will go over top of this. The piece is made to move, so the thumb fingers are going to be movable when it's all together. So you just gotta make sure everything's nice and tight. You don't want nothing, no loose joints, because as it gets over time, you want the joints to be tight. Because if you make them loose now, they'll only get looser later in life. That's the end of stage 15. For this build so far, there's only been 2 screws. I just have them marked 01 and 02 as they're marked in the magazine. last stage in this package. Continuing on the internal thumb, as you can see, the pieces are all plastic, so this will be the internal thumb, and then the metal pieces will then overlay these plastic ones. Unlike the earlier piece where it took a lot of pressure to get it through here, this peg goes in pretty smooth. Now this peg takes a little bit of working back and forth. Like I said, these are tight mainly because you want them to not be loose later in life. This next piece took me a little bit to figure out how to get this in because it didn't quite fit as the instructions said it was. It took me a little while to figure out there's a slot that those two pieces in the middle have to go into. You'll see it here in about a minute what I'm talking about. So this piece just wasn't quite fitting right. You can see the slot that I was talking about, that it just wasn't fitting in there. So you can see when I point down here that piece needed to be tightened down further for that plastic piece to match up to the metal slot, like I said. Just like all the other joints, this is going to be tight, so don't be afraid to use a little force, wiggle it in there. Whatever you got to do to get it in there, it will go in. So after making sure everything's nice and snug, all you gotta do is throw 2 more washers put 2 more screws on, and this package should be done. Take a look and see what the time stone will look like with it. And with that, I think we're about going to call this a wrap, and have a great day.